It would be pretty dope if BTS actually licensed a detective series, like Detective Butter, and then the theme song can be like Smooth Like Butter, like every week. Just start off with that. That's all I got. That's just me yammering as the microphone is getting rolling and everything is going. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to August. You made it. I made it. Some of us made it. Uh, I am super late for my standard timeline for doing this, but also I do what I want. Um, but no, was up very late last night because I wanted to get all the work done possible I could today so that I can take some time off. A lot of y'all always tell me I do too much, I work too much, I'm going too hard, and you're absolutely right. And I officially am starting today, minus mowing my yard and preaching this Sunday. I am taking like 4 days off, now through Tuesday. My oldest daughter moves out in a week, and my middle daughter starts a new school on in a week. So I've officially got just a handful of days with my collective family unit as it is. So gonna rest for the weekend, do some kid stuff, and take some time off and breathe. But wanted to start off my Friday with y'all, but I stayed up late getting a lot of church design work done because we're in y'all, I don't know if y'all churches do the same stuff we do or anything, but we have series like we did a 6 week series on like hymns. So all the designs, all the graphics, all the videos was that themed. And we're starting a new series this Sunday. So I personally, it was my responsibility to have all that done like by Tuesday, and I did not. So I stayed up late last night getting all that done. But that being said, I apologize for the tardiness. We're going to jump into stuff. First off, I want to say again, thank you to all my friends and family and con family, because y'all family, who were so supportive and encouraging at Galaxycon. Oh, that's cute. It looks like the lion eating snacks. Or, um, all of my friends and family who were just so supportive, and encouraging during GalaxyCon. It was a great show. A lot went down. It ended up being potentially my second biggest con ever in terms of response. Uh, Geek Church left me all in my feelings and came out. There's just a lot. It was good. I'm glad if GalaxyCon's not the finish line for the con year for me, it's definitely the last stretch because I'm breathing a lot easier. I have a big travel con coming up next Friday to Tennessee, but in retrospect, it looks way chiller in terms of responsibility. I still will have Geek Church, so not this Sunday, but next Sunday I'll have Geek Church in Tennessee. But I'm just grateful to be on the other side of everything. Let's see. Let's jump into some news. We'll get going. San Diego Olympics, San Diego Olympics. Let's go San Diego first. San Diego Comic Con happened this past weekend. And just to reiterate, San Diego is a large group of people gathering together to celebrate nerdy stuff. But anytime people get involved, bad things happen. And there was, I'll get to that later. Let's start with the less ugly stuff. One of the biggest things we got was that Robert Downey Jr. has been announced to be returning to the MCU as Doctor Doom. Now, depending on how you feel about that, that might be celebratory, that might be eye roll, that might be grumpy ideas, but it's definitely not the dumbest move Marvel could make. Bringing back Robert Downey Jr. to the MCU is wise for them. Now, I would personally love to just see him straight up play Victor Von Doom, not a Tony Stark variant of Victor Von Doom. I don't want to see his face. I just want to let the man cook behind the mask and be the maniacal villain we deserve. With that being said, Robert Downey Jr. is back. We're not going to get it for a hot minute. Maybe we'll see it in Fantastic Four in a year from now, since it hasn't started filming yet. Not for real filming, but Robert Downey Jr. is back. That is one big thing that was announced. We also were told that we're getting Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. So that also is happening. And depending on how you feel about that, that's great. But this is a big, visible, final kind of nail in the coffin vibe for Jonathan Majors, officially saying that we have moved on from him. And I do hope, listen, I'm all about redemption arcs, and I want to see Jonathan get into a better place. And I want to see him get a redemption arc here. Maybe it will be with the MCU one day. Because listen, if we're celebrating Robert Downey Jr.'s comeback to the MCU and we're celebrating that, we can't discount Jonathan Majors and his entire future and celebrate Robert Downey Jr. at the same time. Now, if you're younger than me, that might not mean anything to you. But I grew up in an era where Robert Downey Jr. was way rougher and way more off the chain than Jonathan Majors. I'm not discounting or comparing people's actions, but I am saying this: if we hope for redemption for one, let's hope for redemption for all, because I think we would all want the same opportunities for second chances. Razzle dazzle. Just laying that out there. I'm going to bounce around in not big San Diego level news. Tim Allen is returning to TV. And normally I would be like, meh, about that. But Tim Allen is returning to TV with co-star Kat Dennings. Carlac approves. In a new AB comedy series called Shifting Gears. And Kat Dennings released that information on her Instagram and put the song to it from Birdman and Lil Wayne, Stunting Like My Daddy. So apparently Tim Allen is going to be playing Kat Dennings' father in this show, and we'll see how that goes. I'm excited to see Kat Dennings back in some stuff, so that is coming. Now, a weird thing for me for the past week was that the Olympics were happening at the same time as Comic-Con, at the same time as Galaxycon Raleigh. So I was getting very little peaks of information as I sat at the convention floor for days on end. And one of the first things, everybody was all, okay, first off, people were really upset about the opening ceremony stuff. And I get it. I get that it was what it was said to be. I get what it was perceived to be. I get why people are upset. Um, And I'm not saying don't be upset, but I just feel personally like I live and operate in a space where I don't expect people or whole cultures to be respectful of a gospel message and story that don't know it, and that don't live it and aren't affected by it. I mean, we came from a culture where Christians were literally thrown to lions in arenas. Um, this does not rattle my cage. Uh, I think it's the best way to start off an Olympics? No, it's a horrible life choice. Um, but it is what it is. Now, on a positive Olympic note, 'cause we'll have a few of those too. On a positive Olympic note, one thing that I saw that just really surprised me, but was really cool. Lecrae, Christian hip hop artist Lecrae, was an Olympic uh correspondent. Yeah. Lecrae was an Olympic correspondent for the Olympics, specifically by Peacock, and he was sent to Paris to do correspondence work for Peacock. And you can, if you follow Lecrae's channel or some of the stuff on Peacock, you can see Lecrae interviewing divers and circling around the Paris village and things like that. And it's just weird to me to see Lecrae in a hoodie and a cross chain on a major broadcast thing interviewing a Olympic diver. Just would not have been on my checklist for the summer. I mean, Lecrae's Rebel album, I believe, is turning 20. It's 20 years of the Unashamed movement. And if you would have told me 20 years ago, like that one day this dude's gonna be a correspondent for NBC, it wouldn't have been on my radar, but either way, that totally happened. 28 years later has officially wrapped production. So that seems to have, to me, that went by really, really fast from them announcing 28 years later to wrapping production on 28 years later. I feel like that's such a big undertaking and zombie event that it would take longer than the time put into it. But I don't make movies, so don't ask me. Um, but 28 years later has officially wrapped up production, and I'm excited to see what they do with this trilogy because 28 Days Later was awesome. I only watched 28 months, weeks. I don't remember what the second one was. Um, I only watched that one once, and I need to watch it again because if I'm not mistaken, Jeremy Renner's in it as well. Uh, but yeah, 28 years later is officially wrapped production. Uh, there was just a moment of gangster that took place in baseball world. James McCann got hit in the nose with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball and stayed in the game. That's pretty gangster. You could, if you look up the video for it, Bleacher Report has it kind of shelved for you to see. But dude literally took a straight on full speed 95-mile-an-hour fastball to the nose and it kept playing. Now, there was a pause because there was a lot of blood flow and they were stopping that up and everything. But my man literally took a baseball to the face and kept on trucking. And I don't think many of us are built in that way that we could take a baseball to the face and carry on about our life. But he is. There is a new Star Trek piece coming called Star Trek 31, which is Section 31, and it's about a secret division of Starfleet that is coming, going to be involved. So it's like a little espionage. But Star Trek 31 is, let's see, to give you the full thing. A secret division of Starfleet tasked with protecting the United Federation of Planets. So we're literally getting a Star Trek espionage spy vibe thriller. And one of the things that I'm most excited about that is that the cast is looking real stacked. We got Common, we got the dude who played Mbuffé from Ted Lasso. It's just looking, listen, so if you give me a Star Trek spy thriller, I'm interested. Now, before any Star Trek stands are mad at me, I have not invested in Star Trek, and I know I need to. I am fully aware. As a kid, I watched The Next Generation. I'm fully adept in the original series. I even watched the bulk of Enterprise, but I have not put the hours of my life into Star Trek beyond Enterprise. I'm going to. I even got Paramount for a month with the intentions of doing it. But my life has not been slow enough to delve back into that world, but it will happen. And this looks like an interesting platform to do so. I watched all of the Next Generation movies in theaters. Just saying, don't be mad at me. Um, because I definitely get, plenty of side eye at Comic Cons for not having more Star Trek content. But Section 31 looks interesting. If you were a kid of the 90s or even the last 2 decades, either, um, you grew up going to malls, and the mall always had two anchors: JCPenney on one side, Belk on the other. JCPenney has already gone the way of, you know, Bing Bong, and it appears that Belk is on its way out as well. The Belk, the Charlotte-based department store, is nearly $1 billion in debt, um, by giving creditors future revenue. Um, so Belk is $1 billion in the hole. So I don't even understand what it would take for Belk to be $1 billion in a hole, but God bless America. They are absolutely in that place, and the mall life is officially dying so hard. If you are familiar with the Charlotte area, a giant sinkhole has opened up around Bank of America Stadium, which is the Carolina Panther Stadium, which also is symbolic of how our team has played for like the last decade. So it's, I just want the Panthers to be awesome. I remember being in the stands when Cam Newton broke records, and now, like, what's even happening? Who is on the Carolina Panthers that kids want jerseys of right now? Like, where is that? So I'm looking forward to that being a thing again. But yeah, giant sinkhole around there. While Star Trek is thriving and getting multiple branches, Battlestar Galactica has officially been docked. The In 2019, a project was announced to reboot Battlestar Galactica, and after um that would have been set in the same continuity as the 2003 Battlestar Galactica series and of the Beats Bears Battlestar Galactica fame, and that has been officially scrapped. Now, Battlestar Galactica was dope. I've only watched it once. I do need to rewatch that as well. Battlestar Galactica was part of the first Faith and Fandom book. Um, but even then, I wrote that in 2013, and the show started in 2003. So it was on its way out at that point. But Battlestar Galactica has officially been shelved and will not be rebooting, continuing in that universe. Uh, there is a golfer, uh, Gabby, who is a powerhouse golfer, who hit a drive so hard that her driver literally spun around her and shattered. I'm talking like some anime level stuff. And she swung so hard. She didn't hit anything. She just swung so hard that the physics of her swing shattered her driver. So gangster business again. And I love watching some good golf. Uh That's pretty cool. If not only was Robert Downey Jr. announced to come back for Avengers Doomsday and to be Doctor Doom in the Marvel franchise, he offered to come back or agreed to come back under the terms that the Russo brothers directed because he trusted them more than anybody else with the MCU. And so the Russo brothers are back. They are being paid $80 million up front to do these films. 80 million up front. Now, that's for both of them to direct these Avengers films. Reportedly, Robert Downey Jr. was offered much more, to the tune of $100 million, to come back as Doctor Doom. And which, based on the totals and the metrics I've seen so far, Robert Downey Jr. has already made 500 million portraying Iron Man in the MCU. This means that they're saying that just what he's agreeing to do for Doctor Doom is worth 1/5 of the entire MCU. And let their confidence in that speak to itself. I'm gonna come back to that one. Don't want to hit that yet. Maybe. Okay, let's go ahead. And just because it is news, and I'm going to mention it, I'm not here to debate, condemn, shun, or shame. I'm just saying it because this happened. Let's talk about it, or at least put it in the air. Beyond the opening ceremony debacle of the in response of the Olympics, one of the biggest controversial takes of the Olympics was the fight between Angela Karina and Iman Khalif. The fight that lasted 46 seconds and sparked years worth of internet arguments. And a lot of it took place because of misunderstanding, misinformation. Now, I'm not saying anybody is right and wrong in this capacity, but people jump to a lot of conclusions with it. But either way, what is factual and what is knowledgeable is that one of the things that is being said very often is that Emaine failed a gender test based on testosterone levels and that nature. And but people didn't take the time to kind of check that she was born a female. It's not just a man or anything of that nature. She was born a female, but she was deemed biologically male because of testosterone levels and things of that nature. I'm not saying the fight was fair. I'm not saying the fight was evenly matched. I'm not saying anything like that. And I understand why people are upset. But just a reminder, we have to be cautious with our outrage. We have to be cautious with what Romans 14 says, at the end of Romans 14, the last verse of Romans 14 says, be careful that you do not condemn yourself by what you approve. And it's not just the fact that you approve whether this fight happened or how it happened. If you approve condemnation of others publicly without full information, you put yourself in a risky place in terms of being love and being light and being encouragement. Now, if something's wrong, let's talk about it. But I feel like First Peter 3:15, if I'm saying the reference correctly, it might be Second Peter 3:15. I'm gonna double check that. Yes, First Peter 3:15. Yay, I didn't fail my scripture check. Roll initiative. First Peter 3:15. I got this new dice, by the way, from Galaxycon Raleigh. It's got a rocket ship in it. First Peter 3:15 says that always be prepared. But in your heart, set apart Christ is Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give reason for the hope you have. The hope you have, but do this with gentleness and respect. And I just want to be cautious and to say, how we respond to stuff, especially stuff on the internet, we have to be able to do it with gentleness and respect. Otherwise, we're not helping, we're causing more damage. So I'll encourage you you before you fly off the rails and get real aggressive in any capacity, check your net facts, check your knowledge. Is what you're saying helpful? Are you just being angry because other people are angry? And can you do what you're doing with gentleness and respect? I'm not siding with anybody on anything on this. I'm just saying it was ugly to watch the people's responses in this more than anything else. Um, I know the fight was ugly, but y'all, when we're super aggressive and uh when we stop seeing people as people, we can be real nasty and real unchristlike. So be nice. There's a better way to say it, be nice. Um, as the doctor said, always try to be nice, but never fail to be kind. Pew pew. Um, the United States has officially made history in the Olympics. The first country to ever win 3,000 Olympic medals. So check box America. We did that. Um, one of the things from the Olympics that was just positive and super cool was the dude from Turkey that took silver in the shooting arena with none of the silly protective gadgets and things. Like all these other people are out here looking like Usopp from One Piece with the goggles and everything else. And this dude literally looks like he just walked out of Home Depot and busted a cap in a Target. Um, and I'll say this dude did it well because he won silver and he's all over the place. And the dude or the person who won gold is getting less coverage than the dude who won silver because of how he did it. So game, set, match on that one. Another thing that happened just last night in Boise, Idaho, uh, Christian rap group Social Club Misfits was set to perform with Trip Lee last night, and they had to postpone the show because there was an active shooter across the street from the concert. Um, Scary situation. Social Club says that the police handled it professionally, and so did the staff at the venue. But that's still a scary situation to be at a concert and have an active shooter. On scary concert news, uh, the new movie Trap releases in theaters today, and it is M. Night Shyamalan's take on what it would look like if a serial killer was trapped at a Taylor Swift concert. It's been subtly advertised that way for a while, but like the marketing as of the last couple of weeks has literally been Josh Hartnett quoting Taylor Swift lines to the camera. So they're not being shy about the fact it's an Eras Tour horror movie or a suspense thriller. Um, that's in theaters today. Trap. It's getting moderately good reviews from everything I've seen. Also in theaters today is Harold and the Purple Crayon, Zach Lee revised children's movie. It is getting less positive reviews, but I really do feel like it is just our pop culture nature to automatically take a giant steaming poo poo on anything Zachary Levi does these days. Um, Now, is Harold and the Purple Crayon my first choice to go watch in theaters? No. If I go watch it in theaters, it will be solely because I want to give Zach Levi like a back pat and say, I still see you and I acknowledge you. Um, but uh it's in theaters. If you've got small children, you want to watch a fun kid movie. Uh it's got about 30%, 36% positive reviews over the 70% negative. Um, do with that as you will. Because there's plenty of movies with 1% Rotten Tomatoes that people love. So chew on that. Uh, at San Diego, Kevin Smith, who I will be at a show with next week, Kevin Smith announced that the next two movies that are coming in his bubble, um, There is the 4:30 movie, which is kind of a pseudo biographical uh story on him, but the next Jay and Silent Bob movie, because we need more, is called Jay and Silent Bob Store Wars, and will obviously have like a whole Star Wars themes, and it's going to be about a battle between Jay and Silent Bob's dispensary versus some other person's dispensary, and that's officially coming. Uh if you are a Henry Cavill stan fan person, you are aware that when he was departed from Netflix's Witcher, that one of the things was announced that he was going to work on Warhammer 40,000 for Amazon TV. And that's the thing he loves most. And Warhammer is Henry Cavill's passion project. It's his favorite thing. And he was told that he would be given kind of a blank check to go make the most amazing Warhammer thing in the world. And in that, they are now in deep water because the studio is not financially strong enough to fulfill their obligations and their commitment to Henry Cavill in this subject. Um, it's stated that the collaboration is being weighed and it depends on creative guidelines being set by December of this year. So they're basically in a let's see if we can work out the financials and logistics to make this show happen. And we're going to give it until December. So in December, we're either going to find out if Henry Cavill's dream is going to happen or it's going to be part of yet another failed franchise for the Man of Steel. Speaking of the Man of Steel, James Gunn's Superman has officially wrapped production. They missed Comic-Con because they were still filming, but it is officially wrapped production and they shared a photo from their first week when they were shooting in Norway, which probably means some Fortress of Solitude-esque photos or film set pieces. But Cleveland and Norway both benefited from the presence of the Superman crew. And so I'm excited, dude. We're a year from Superman. We get a DC movie in a year. I just want to live long enough to see the DC universe not be rough. Jamie Lee Curtis has issued a public apology for crapping on this phase of the MCU. She made some comments on the internet and said the MCU is bad after Endgame, and that is, she shouldn't have done that. She issues that statement. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds literally makes $1 billion publicly stating that the MCU is bad. Um, in Deadpool versus Wolverine. Not giving any Deadpool versus Wolverine spoilers, because we're still like a week out from this movie. But I do want to share the box office. Let's see. Where's the worldwide box office? So worldwide, Deadpool and Wolverine has made $590 million at rollout, and is still trucking, and it is the uh highest grossing R-rated film of all time. Period. It has officially taken that title. It is the highest grossing R-rated film of all time, and still making money. And half the jokes are about how the MCU has sucked since Endgame. Um, if you've not watched Deadpool or Deadpool and Wolverine, uh, I'm not going to give you spoilers, but what I will say is this: it is full of cameos to the effect of Spider-Man: No Way Home, in that you have great cameos that become part of the storyline, and also there is one post-credit scene. So take that as you will, but it is very much a Deadpool and Wolverine movie, and that's all all you really came for. Bungie, the creator of Halo, and the people who currently run Destiny, has laid off 220 staff, which is 17% of the studio's workforce. Destiny did just finish its what we're aware of or understand as their final chapter, which I still need to play more of. But yeah. By the way, if you play Destiny, hit me up. I'm struggling on a boss level and I could use some help. Uh, we can play together. We can be friends. Fist bump. But yeah, Destiny laid off 220 people. Uh, in some Broadway nerd news, I'm so pumped for this. Bill and Ted stars Keanu Reeves and Alex Winters. If you're familiar, Bill and Ted recently had a reboot movie. Um, Past that, Alex Winters only did a handful of films. Like I want to say there was a Freaks and Geeks movie and The Lost Boys. But Alex Winters has not had the traction that Keanu Reeves has had, but I still genuinely really enjoy Bill and Ted and Keanu and Alex together. Keanu and Alex are joining forces to go to Broadway together to do Waiting for Godot. Waiting for Godot is a theatrical piece of just nonsense depth, which basically sounds like you're listening to a conversation but like taking place in a mental ward, but beautifully written. I did Waiting for Godot as a high school student, and I can tell you this, I had no understanding of what I was doing looking back. But I have more appreciation now looking forward of how beautifully written it is. And I don't love New York. I'm not that guy. I don't want to just go walk around Broadway. That's stress to me. That's anxiety. I have friends like The Simpsons, like Christine and the Simpson, Christine and Jordan Simpson. Those guys, they love Broadway. They want to be there. I've got friends that love that. My kids love Broadway. They want to be there. It ain't me, fam. Almost Famous was the only thing to get me to go to New York willingly, and this could do it though. Like I would strongly consider going to New York to see these two perform Waiting for Godot. So there's that. Uh s- there's a Mortal Kombat 1 DLC pack that's introducing us to some more playable characters in the Mortal Kombat 1 franchise. This is the same franchise that's given us Homelander and Peacemaker in the game. Now they're adding Ghostface from Scream, the T-1000 from Terminator 2, Conan the Barbarian, and more. So if you want to literally play as Homelander versus Skeet Ulrich, you can do this now. Um, that's happening. Inside Out 2 has officially surpassed the original Avengers in box office sales. Take that in, y'all. Inside Out 2 has officially now made more money than the original Avengers movie. Uh 1.5 billion is where Inside Out 2 is sitting at, and it's made more money than the original Avengers film. So there's that. On success that, is not surprising. Uh the opening to Deadpool and Wolverine features NSYNC's Bye 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 and has Deadpool and Wolverine has propelled Bye 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 into the top 20 uh more than a full 2 decades since the song's original release. So uh you're buying in sync, a new car or two with their revenue from this. Yeah, that's totally happening. And people that aren't making money, Roadhouse director Doug Lyman is still really, really upset about the fact that Roadhouse, his movie, did not go to theaters. Instead, it went straight to streaming on Amazon Prime, which was not part of the deal. And 50 million people watched Roadhouse on Amazon Prime, which is a big deal. And Lyman is furious because 50 million people watched his movie and he didn't get a cent from those 50 million people watching it. Um, and, just on a biblical concept, a workman deserves his wages. So, dude, I mean, same thing that happened with Scarlett Johansson with Black Widow releasing directly on Disney Plus. And it's shameful that people don't honor their word in terms of contracts and stuff like that, but or that things change. But man, that's a hard road to hoe. If you remember recently, Richard Simmons passed away, and prior to Richard Simmons uh passing away, for like over the last year, Pauly Shore has been stating that he was making a Richard Simmons biopic. In the months ahead of Richard Simmons' death, Richard Simmons publicly stated he did not want this movie to go forward. He did not support it. Um, that he was going to have his own movie made, and he didn't want Pauly Shore to play him. Um, and Pauly Shore was just at the Comic-Con with me last weekend too. Um, but Pauly Shore is now insisting that he had Richard Simmons' approval for the biopic before he passed. He's stating that before Richard passed, he and Pauly talked and said it was cool. Uh, Richard Simmons' family is saying that's hogwash, and there will continue probably to be drama associated with this production moving forward, but it's going to happen, and depending on where you stand on that, whether it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. In other drama to real life associated films, uh, Netflix rep has officially conceded that if Baby Reindeer is based on the life of Fiona Harvey, the lady who is the antagonist of the or one of the antagonists of the Baby Reindeer Netflix hit, um, that she was never convicted of stalking. And that's one of the reasons why she's filing a lawsuit against Netflix. And Netflix has conceded this is correct. You were never convicted of stalking, etc. But again, that's a hard battle to fight. If you're a fan of American Idol, uh, Katy Perry is stepping away from the show and being replaced by Carrie Underwood, 20 years after winning the show. So Carrie is taking her place, and no shade to Katy Perry, but I feel like Carrie Underwood has a better uh reason, a better like stake in the game to be there. Katy Perry might be technically more successful, but Carrie Underwood to me has more skill. That's just an opinion, not shade, just an opinion. Cardi B has announced that she is pregnant. Cardi B has also filed for divorce from her husband Onset, um, and some life stuff that's happening. Uh, if you aren't aware, Olympic competitors don't get a lot of money for competing the way that they compete. And so Flavor Flav has paid Olympian Veronica Fraley's rent in full this month after she was worried that she wasn't going to have the means to cover her rent when she got back home. And if you didn't watch any of the Olympic stuff, Flavor Flav was there being just the encouraging grandpa that you would want Flavor Flav to be, the eccentric grandpa. He was very Master Roshi vibes in that capacity. Uh, Lin-Manuel Miranda and Isa Davis have released a musicalization of The Warriors as a concept album, and it's coming out this fall, and it's being produced by Nas. So there's a musicalization of The Warriors produced by Nas with Lin-Manuel Miranda and Isa Davis coming out. Um, Theater nerds, movie nerds, all the nerds, get ready. It's happening. Eddie Raymond is returning to his Harry Potter roots, as he is um, going to be playing his Fantastic Beasts role for the new Universal Ministry of Magic Land, as Universal is expanding its Harry Potter world. And in negative San Diego news, California Attorney General has announced that law enforcement people arrested 14 buyers uh, and recovered 10 victims in sex trafficking that took place in San Diego. Um, Anytime there's major events where people are gathered because we're humans and sinful, there's some serious dirt going to happen from everything from sporting events to Comic Cons. And sex traffickers know that and they're aware of that. And they set up a big thing. And California actually took a swing on it and got 14 buyers and 10 victims. And so I think that's a win. It's a win in the face of darkness, but it's a win. Um, Pete Davidson from SNL, uh, the man with potentially the craziest, luckiest dating life in modern America, uh, has checked himself into a wellness facility for his mental health, and good for him. That's a that's a healthy thing, and I guarantee though he will make jokes about it later. But it's hard out there mentally and emotionally, and even even if you live a crazy lifestyle, even if you have the spotlight on you, it doesn't make it easy to even function. So I support, applaud, and encourage anybody that needs to actually take care of themselves mentally and emotionally, and good job for him. Uh yeah. If you aren't aware that Gaza is still happening and all the things there, the death count in Gaza has come north of 40,000. And I'm not telling you what to do with that information, but I would encourage you to pray. I would encourage you to just lift up the things that you don't have control over. Yeah. Um, in Olympic news slash chosen news, when all the debacle of the Olympics opening ceremony dropped and it was being compared to the Last Supper and the argument of over Dionysus and everything else, uh, the chosen decided to effectively say, "Hold my non-alcoholic beer," and released the first photo of the Last Supper scene from the upcoming chosen season. So Dallas Jenkins took to Twitter and to say, check this out, and showed what their Last Supper looks like in the upcoming season. Uh, in a biggest in a big piece of news, the largest prisoner swap with Russia took place this week since the Cold War. Um, Lots of people were freed and exchanged and got to come home in this capacity. Yeah. And also, Jason and Travis Kelsey are approaching a $100 million deal for podcasting. Their their podcast, thanks I think largely into thanks largely to TikTok, has been blowing up over the last year, and now they're facing like a serious like deal to be able to do this professionally. Um and especially with Jason Kelsey retiring, it's a big deal. Um so that's pretty neat. Uh and stuff that I don't expect to report on or to say. Police are on, and I don't know if they found him yet before I say this because I haven't followed back up since I was taking notes. Police are on the hunt for a former Green Power Ranger. Hector David Rivera Jr., who played the Green Ranger at one point in time, uh, is on the run and being pursued by police in Idaho after assaulting an elderly man in a parking lot. He pushed an elderly man on video. He pushed an elderly man to the ground and assaulted him and then drove away. That is not very Power Ranger of you, my guy. Zordon does not approve. Um, there was a riot and protest that broke out in Venezuela um, over the past week that over election results, and people were very angry, very upset. And La Pasarela Bakery in Venezuela, I not fully ended the riot, not fully into the protest, but they calmed down people and probably very literally saved lives by tossing out bread into the crowd. There was a riot taking place in Venezuela. People were literally getting pummeled and stomped. And La Pasarela Bakery in Venezuela started throwing out free bread from the second floor of their bakery to the rioters, and they stopped fighting and ate bread. Y'all, that needs to be a shirt. Throw bread, not stones. So let me tell you this: you throw a roll at me, I'll probably calm down for a minute. Just saying, throw a cookie my way, throw something, and I will probably be a little more chill. There was a lawsuit and litigation between the family of the recently deceased Micah Miller and her ex-husband, the South Carolina pastor, John Miller, that John Paul Miller, uh, into the allegation that he abused her and things like that. And there was a lawsuit, and he has not been prosecuted criminally because he has alibis and all that jazz. But there was a lawsuit against him from their family, and they have reached a settlement, and that's over. I don't know the decision of that, but Miller walked out smiling from it, and that was the end of that. In some other sad news, there was a Taylor Swift dance camp, a Taylor Swift themed dance camp hosted in England. A 17-year-old boy uh infiltrated the dance camp and murdered 3 of the dancers and assaulted and wounded 8 more of the dancers. The 2 dance teachers, without weapons, without defensive things, took on the assailant and risked their own lives and took him down. He is alive. He's in custody. He's a minor, technically. Um, and Taylor Swift has responded by paying tribute to those kids and the dance teachers at some recent shows, doing not fundraisers, but donating money to their families. And it's just sad that it happened. And realistically speaking, that's just a scary thought to me, because that could literally be my kids any day of the week at a dance camp. Because I know, like, I know my kid's dance studio. Um, it would be not something out of the realm of possibility. In Rhode Island, there's an apocalyptic level of dragonflies swarming on beaches. Literally millions of dragonflies swarming on beaches, scaring beach goers. The videos of it are pretty bonkers and really out there for it. But yeah, that's totally happening. That's about all the news I've got for y'all. I'm gonna kind of go on about the rest of my day. But I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for being as amazing as you are. David Brooks, Jeff Weimer, Colin Sproles, Jamie Montgomery, the Coleman family, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, uh, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, who I got to see this weekend, um, Alicia Glenn, who I got to see this weekend, and also Alicia is proposing the idea of doing like a meetup fellowship hangout time at future shows, and we're totally gonna function and work on that to make that happen. Candace Davis, Jay Seed, Jay Sheed, Jason Crutchfield, who I also got to see this weekend with his new bride, and to meet her. Mike Perna, Todd Turner, who I got to do the Pull List podcast with last night. John Jacobs, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, who I got to see the majority of her family last week. Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. Thank y'all for being amazing. Thank you for being such cool supporters. Thank you for loving me the way that you do. And the ministry that Faith and Fandom gets to be a part of. So I just want to say thank you for that. Thank you for being awesome. And yeah, that's thank you for being awesome. If you feel the urge or the desire or the leading to want to be part of supporting Faith and Fandom in those capacities, do it. No pressure. You don't have to. Not going to be sad if you don't, but if you want to, you can. You can get over to patreon.com/faith and fandom and check that out. There's also you know, just ways, just I want to say shout out to Ben from North Carolina who brought me thousands, thousands of Pokemon cards to give out to kids at cons. And I did get started on that and already gave out a bunch at Galaxycon Raleigh to some Pokemon kids. But just want to say thank you for being awesome. And I appreciate y'all. And I look forward to what God is going to be doing. And yeah, I just really appreciate you. One of the things that yeah, I'm just gonna re-quote the verse, but Romans 5:8 says, God demonstrates his love for us, and that this while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. One of the lines that lingered in my head after Geek Church is that God fully sees our broken, but doesn't stop seeing us as beautiful. And I want to encourage you. He may know the worst, he may see the worst in you, or he does know and see the worst in you, but he sees you as worthy because of his love and isn't done with you. So just know that God loves you. And I hope you find something good to geek out about. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Today, um, new Batman animated series is on Amazon Prime. Uh it is the Batman the Cape Crusader. It is a spiritual precursor to Batman the Animated Series. There's 10 episodes. They're on Amazon Prime. Literally gonna go do this as soon as I get off of here. But that's totally happening. So thank y'all for taking the time to watch and listen, and I hope y'all have a great day. See you at a con soon, hopefully. Yep.